Today is day 1 of my free DFIR course. A huge shout out for all of my viewers for giving me constant support and love. Thank you so much. Day 1. We are not wasting any time. I will show you what are the pillars of security operations. I will tell you how you can broaden your search, how you can do all the studies in this field. We will take an oath how to become a successful incident handler, and finally I will show you how do I write my own incident report. So without doing any further delay, let's get started. So the first thing that we will first discuss is about taking the oath to become a successful incident handler. So you need to literally repeat after me what I have written in these 8 steps. Okay. So the first step is security is my responsibility. So that means when you are working in a SOC, so you have to ensure that in an organization, maintaining security is your responsibility. Okay, it because humans and we the users are the biggest weak links of any incident that might happen. Okay, so security is my responsibility. You need to ensure that. Okay, so the second point, if you want to be a successful incident handler, you need to be available 24/7 for incidents. So I am not saying that you have to, like, literally work 24/7, otherwise you will burn out. Okay, so you need to take care of yourself. You need to maintain the work life balance properly, but mentally you have to be prepared for, like, 24/7, because your phone can ring anytime. Okay, and if you are a valuable resource in your organization, definitely you have to do that. Okay, so the third point, I will read 50 blogs per day. This is very much important. Okay, because being in SOC and incident response, you have to be always updated. What is happening in the threat industry, what is happening in the cyber world, what are the vulnerabilities that is getting released day by day. If there is any incident that is happening in some other company and something related, you can, like, something related can happen to your organization as well, right? So I'm not saying that the same threat attacker will attack you, but at least you have to ensure yourself that you know how the tools and techniques, how the TTA works actually. Okay, so you need to read, you need to Google, like hell. Okay, so I read approximately like 60 to 70 blogs depending on my schedule. So to start with, you can start with, like, somewhat around, like, 20 to 30 blogs. So it's not a big deal, right? So it will be interesting because you will learn so much things, so much new stuffs happening in the world. So if you ask me from where I will read the blog, so don't worry about that. So I'll leave the comments and I will leave the links in the description below, so you can look it out. Okay, and you can follow me in Twitter. So I am following in a Twitter handle as Black Pearl. So I am following a lot of people, lot of threat advisories, basically threat intels, I can say. So you can follow them as well. Otherwise, you can read from those blogs. The link I'll post in the description. So fourth is, like, I will be always ready to adopt techs, because you cannot be very much stringent with some technology. Suppose today is your organization who is working on some tool, let's say QRadar. Okay, and next day, or maybe down the line, 1 to 3 years down the line, they might want to explore sumo logic. Okay, so you need to be in such position that you need to adapt techniques. Okay, tools and techniques is heavily changing in the market, so you have to be in some position that literally, like, what is happening in the market. Okay, so you need to be in that position to adapt techniques as much as possible and as quickly as possible. Next, you have to be confident enough, because in some incident call there will be some like director levels, like C level executives will be also in the calls, and you have to like you have to tell them that you are the boss right now who is handling that incident, and you know the stops, and you know what might be happening in your company if someone is not doing what you are expecting them to do. Okay, so they can override you, they actually try to override you, because they want at least uh, they will be running as business. Okay, so they will focus on when the business will run. Okay, so that's the main thing, because like they will be always interested to learn about something like what is happening in the business world, so they will be always worried about business. Okay, so you have to be confident enough whatever you are saying, so you need to do a lot of R&D. Okay, so that's the second point I have mentioned, because if you are doing a lot of R&D, and if you can establish your facts with proper level of justification, so no one can overrule you. Okay, so you have to be confident enough and do a lot of R&D. So 6 point I have mentioned, I'll override and support my team as full technical level, because in your team no one might be like full no one can be 100% technically strong as hell. So there might be some weak points of one person in your team. You might be strong, you might have that point as a strong point, so you need to back support your team. So if the shift in SOC maybe 5 or 6 members are working in a particular shift, so you can divide the works between your team members and try to learn, try to establish the fact what is your weakness, what is your some other people's strength, and you can grab those skills. Okay, so you have to be supportive always, because SOC is a team game, buddy. So you cannot beat that. Okay, and last thing, you have to ensure that you need to learn how to say no. This is very much important, because in SOC you will see a lot of people throwing just tickets to you, and expecting that it will be SOC work to be done. Okay, but which is not actually security case. So you have to be in such a position that you need to understand what is a security incident, what is not a security incident. Okay, so we will discuss in our coming days about different types of security incident, but you have to learn to say no. Okay, because that is very much important. So now we are moving ahead. Okay, so now we will discuss about what are the prerequisite and what are the skills that is required to be a successful incident handler. So there are a lot of skills like documentation skill, innovation skill is required, technical skill is a star, then implementation skill, listening skill, and explanation skill. Okay, so everything is very much important. So let's deep dive one by one, and I will show you what are each and individual skill is required for. Okay, so first we will start from technical skills. So when I say technical skills, there could be several questions that can come in your mind. So let's divide our technical skills first as computing skill. Okay, so computing skill is like you need to understand how actually internal computer system works, how because once you understand the internal algorithms of computing function, you will be able to understand how an attack mechanism actually works inside in a computer. Okay, so you might not be a as a pro of computer science, but it's important to understand the very basic of computing knowledge, and you need to have that very basic knowledge of computing in terms of algorithm. When I say you need to you need to have that, then different type of operating systems, it's very important to have. Okay, and like when you study about operating systems, you will also learn about different types of files architecture, how actually they present in a operating system, different kind of operating system. So these are very much a core skill that you need to have. Okay. The second thing we will talk about, main thing is cyber kill chain. Okay. So cyber kill chain. I have taken a multiple interviews of like experienced people who actually want to shift in SOC journey, and they want to be a DFIR student, or I can say DFIR executive, but they don't have the knowledge of cyber kill chain. Okay, so I will show you what exactly the cyber kill chain very briefly. I will leave the link in the description, you can check that out. So when you are also understanding about cyber kill chain, it is very important to understand about the attack MITRE framework. Okay, so nowadays most of the companies and most of the attack framework is hovering around attack MITRE. So I will show you in a minute that how you can actually understand the several things of attack MITRE framework. Okay, so next thing, you also need to know about the basics of networking. So it is very much important. Okay, so without having the knowledge of networking, you cannot be a SOC analyst. Okay, so when I say networking, again, very much important, I am not saying that you have to be a pro in networking. Okay, so in networking there are also like several options, right? So you need to understand about very much like subnetting, how actually subnetting, you can do the subnetting, then the CIDR notation. You just need to know about these very basic things. Okay, so you don't need to by heart anything, because nowadays Google is your dictionary of everything. You can just do a Google to see the what are the notations of, and what are the starting and ending address of a CIDR block. So you not need to by heart anything, but you need to have a brief idea of networking. Okay, so when you say about networking, so there are a lot of certifications. We are not covering certification in this particular day one, but I will show you in later coming days what are the certification course also you can take up. Okay, but anyway, you can do a little bit of Google and you can understand how the networking actually works. Okay, so it's important to have these skills. Okay, so next thing we will talk about, and we need to learn about Linux. Okay, why do you need to learn about Linux stuff? Because there are a lot of attacks, there are a lot of scenarios that would happen in Linux. So when you understand and when you study about different type of OS, so in OS, as you know, like Windows, then Mac, then Linux, all those stuffs are coming. Okay, but it is very important to understand between these two bridges. Okay, Windows and Linux, because if you want to study cloud also in some days in down the line, so Linux is your friend. Okay, so it's cool. So you cannot be an incident handler without knowing Linux. Okay, there are a lot of flavors also available for Linux. I'm not saying that you have to know Kali Linux, you need to do the script kiddie stuff, you need to bug something, you need to hack someone. I'm not saying that, but you at least need to know how the Linux command works, the basic commands I am saying about. Okay, how to actually work, how you can elaborate your work in your terminal, how you need to learn about the internal stuffs of Linux. Because if you want to do some investigation of servers, most of the servers in organization are Linux based. Okay, I'm not saying that there are servers of Windows. If you get a server of Windows, you are blessed. Okay, but most of the incidents I have worked on, they are mostly based out of Linux. Okay, so that is the reason I am saying you that you need to learn Linux. Okay, I will post a link in the description box. You can check out the basic Linux stuffs and Linux commands. That is a cheat sheet of Linux that will help you. Okay, so next thing, you need to know at least one programming language. Okay, so you can ask me what kind of programming language I need to learn. It's like C, PHP, VB, what else, like Java. That doesn't really matter. Okay, so at least one you need to know the basics. Okay, because if you don't know the basics, you probably cannot deobfuscate one attacker exploit script. And if there is an incident that one attacker has posted something in your server and you are trying to understand what the hell the attacker has written in this script, so you never understand. Okay, so at least one programming language is must to be an incident handler. So because it's an entry level job, probably you might not need to do like a lot of stuff like automation and engineering stuffs, writing codes to do some problem fixing. You might not need all those stuffs, but at least to do the log analysis, which is a next technical skills I am going to talk about, you need to learn at least one programming language. Okay, so I'll mark it as you need to know one programming language. Okay, so I'll mark it as one. Okay, so the next thing I will say about the log analysis. Okay, so when you need to be and when you want to be an incident handler, so log analysis is very much important. Okay, so I am getting one by one to each of the technical stuffs that you need to be and you need to master actually. Okay, so inside log analysis there are several stuffs. Okay, so there could be infrastructure device, there could be security device, there could be servers, there could be web servers, authentication servers, then client machines, then your security device. Okay, this is most important to understand your security device because that is your boon of your in your architecture. And when we talk about security device, it could be an AV, it could be a proxy device, then it has to be a firewall, anything. It could be anything. Okay, so you need to understand and you need to literally know how to read the logs. Okay, so I will show you. Actually, I can show you multiple examples, but I'll if I start to show it light here, so it will be a huge episode. So I don't want to do that. So I'll leave the links in the description box. You can go and check out those links. If you have any queries to understand the logs, you can always reach out to me by any method and I'll be happy to answer them. Okay, but to understand these are very much important that again there are a lot of other logs also we can consider, you can consider WAF logs, for example. So WAF logs is it's a your application security, your endpoints, your servers. That could be a perimeter level device. That WAF is your one of your best device that is securing your device from perimeter level. Okay, so that could be another device you very much need to be interested on. So overall, these kinds of all the things that you need to master in your technical abilities. Okay, so moving on, let's see what next. So this things is my repository. Okay, so I want to show you what I basically used to have in my initial days when I work as an incident responder and L1 and L2. So these are all the resources you need to have handy in your arsenal. Okay, so these are all free tools. Either you need to do a subscribe or might be your organization would have also a subscription to have. So virus total, I hope you know already what is virus total. Then IP void, URL void, abuse IPDB. I am not going through all of the stuffs because I'll post the link in the description box. This is my actually the Pandora's box. Okay, so I thought to create a new episode of top 10 free resources that I use to handle any of the incident of if I want to select, if I want to actually know the reputation of an IP address of a domain. So but I thought to mix it here only. Okay, so I'll leave all of the sites in the description box. You can check that out. So just one thing, this thing is very much important, that diagram creator, there is a site called draw.io, so you can create your amazing network diagram. Okay, so that is one of your course skill that you need to have if you want to be an incident handler. Most of the people I have met, they don't like to work on excels like ppts, but believe me, a successful incident handler will be master of those tool itself, because it's not always like doing the analysis. Okay, it's have to be like presenting the things, how you actually you are presenting the things to your boss, to your c-level executive, to them, whatever you have analyzed so far. Okay, so there are some other tools also I use daily basis, like threat crowd. It's a kind of Maltego powered threat platform, where you can see a lot of network diagram based on, like if you want to search a particular IP address or a domain, you just need to put that in threat crowd and you can do the magic. Okay, so it will show you the other Maltego threat platforms, then any other linked things. Like the same thing also you can check in VT, but you need to have a license for that. Okay, but threat crowd is free. There are a lot of malware sandboxes also available in the market, so I'll leave the link in the description box, you can check that out. Then malware exchange is also a site, so you can download your sample malware, sample suspicious file for your analysis. Again, I would like to highlight, if you want to do that, install a VM and do all the magic inside your VM and just use it for your study purpose only. Okay, so one other things also I'd like to highlight, I use Dan tools, code encoder and script converter very much. Okay, so I have created an old video where I have actually explained how you can deobfuscate a suspicious malicious JavaScript file. So the link is coming in the I button now, you can check that out. But those will be in-house. Okay, but Dan tools is something which will help you to decode base 64, then UTA very easily. So you just need to put the obfuscated file and it will do the magic. So same thing is code decoder. There are a lot of sites that I use for code decoding and coding, because if you are working an incident response, so there could be a scenario that one of your attacker has posted something and injected a shell in your web server, and you need to decode that particular script. Okay, so you need to analyze something and you need to use some kind of encoder for that. Okay, so decoder also, so they have the both feature. Okay, code encoder and decoder. And script converter, this is very much important, because sometimes your attacker would gibberish the code into a very complex code. Okay, you can use JS Beautify, you can use modification, some little bit of tricks and hooks, so that will help you to do all the conversion. Okay, and GitHub, this is the very much important things. This is a Pandora's box of everything. I would encourage you to create an account on GitHub and search for the free tools. There are a lot of free tools in the market that is currently available for the incident handlers to make the work easy. Okay, you can create amazing timelines, you can create all like hell lot of things using those. Okay, so next thing, moving on, so let's see what next. Now, innovation skill. Okay, so what do I mean by innovation skill? uh, like you can ask me, like, what do I need to innovate if I am like working in a SOC 1 level, like SOC 1 analyst. So innovation skill means the way of presentation, presenting the things. Okay, so you can create some new ways by which actually you can sorry about that, uh, you can present something to your boss. Okay, so like new ways of your analysis, I'll write down here, new ways of your analysis. Okay, so that means most of the IR folks might be doing some analysis like the manual way, and that's the reason I told you you might need to learn a little bit of coding. So you can identify and you can do some magic using your coding skill, and you can automate something. Okay, so that's gonna be your new skill. So you can create some amazing graphs. Okay, just remember, picture tells 1,000 words. Okay, so if you have done something, an amazing analysis, and you can represent that using a graph, that is a beautiful thing. Just check out my SolarWind timeline analysis and you will see how I create my timeline. So that's an amazing thing. So I told you about one website, right, draw.io. I'll post the link, never mind about that. So you can create a lot of free graphs in that website. Okay, use that. So when suppose I will give you one example, that there is, let's say there is one machine which is trying to talk to a C2 domain. Okay, now from that C2 domain, uh, there might be a reverse communication happening to another machine of your network. Okay, so now this machine is trying to work as a botnet, and it is sending the request, or it is scanning your overall infrastructure network. Now you know all the IP addresses. Okay, so suppose this is .x.x.x.x, and you know this C2 domain also, like abc.com. Okay, and you know all this IP address and CIDR ranges. So that is the reason I told you no need to know about the CIDR blocks. Okay, so now you can explain all those things in theory in words, but if you can like create some graphical representation, that becomes your innovation skill. Okay, so use that, and that would really help you to grow your skills. Okay, so next thing is like prepare a unique timeline. So again, I would encourage you to go and check my SolarWind video where I have created a timeline, and I would say that's an amazing timeline, but you guys can better judge me how I create my timelines. So generally what in organization does, I have seen they have probably create an Excel file. Okay, so in that Excel file they create a time and they mention an event. Okay, so maybe some x.x interval, there was one event that was an outbound communication happened. Okay, so this the way they have create one table. They might want to create multiple tables. Most of the organization and most of the analysts do that. Okay, so I have seen that many times. But if you can create some interesting timeline using some graphical representation, isn't that awesome? Okay, so you can check that video and you can let me know, is it like if you can innovate something of your own. Okay, so I can show you some of my own created timeline. So if you are interested, let me know in the comment section below. Okay, so these are some innovation skill that would help you to grow your incident responder skill. Okay, so next thing we will move on and let's see what is next. So documentation skill, it's also very much important. As I am telling you, do the documentation each and every time. Suppose you are analyzing one incident and you have found one IP address. Okay, one IP address of an attacker. Now using those all free tools, you have identified like multiple things. You have identified what is the whois information of that IP address, where is the location of that IP address, then the reputation of that IP address. Then you have also maybe like you have identified uh, the a hell lot of things you can identify using those tools, and you can like some identify like some domain information also using that. So domain information as such, like what are the domains that might be resolving to that IP address, if there is any like malware or there is any drop by is present on that IP address. So you can do a hell lot of you can actually identify a hell lot of information using a simple network IOC. So now if you are not documenting it somewhere, you will lose the track, right? So always I prefer, once you start your investigation, you know something like there is an alert generated in your SOC, in your SIEM tool, and you are just investigating one IP address. Create a notepad. or create a OneNote, anything you can, whatever editor you want to know, you want to work on, and just do the documentation. Okay, so once you document each and everything, then try to create your try to create it like a story. Okay, that will be the magic, when the people will understand what are the events and how actually the events has occurred in the in the one by one symmetric way and fashionable way. I will show you at the end how I create my investigation report. That would give you some hint. Okay, so next thing is as I have also mentioned you, like, provide diagrams. Okay, so diagrams and screenshots, that is very much important, because evidence is also a main thing which you need to collect when you are analyzing something. So suppose you are doing some analysis on a live server, okay, and you have identified some event of interest, might be a timestamp, that might be a attacker has injected something, you have identified something interesting. Okay, so you need to capture that snapshot. That means just do a you know how to create snapshot, right? So just do a create a snapshot and attach that in your documentation. Do the diagrams. Okay, so that would also increase your validation of your document and the way you prepare everything. So that is again another skill. Next thing is like implementation skill. Now you can ask me, being an SOC handler, what might be the incident implementation skill I need to work on. So implementation skill, I would say that you need to adapt new things. Okay, so that's the oath also we have taken. You need to adopt new skill sets. Okay, so don't be stringent. Okay, so do some analysis on the others works also. So suppose one day if you are working as a SOC level 1 analyst, you cannot do a SOC level 1 analyst 2 months down the line. Okay, if you are doing the same job 2 months down the line, then you become already obsolete. So try to understand how the other people are also working in your team. That's the reason I told in the very beginning of this course, you need to be open as much as possible. You need to talk with people, you need to understand their vibes, you need to encourage, and you need to engage as much as possible in your way. Okay, so adapt the things, how the things that is working, how the things that others are working on the same way. Okay, next thing is implement. You need to don't be dependent on a lot like single tool. Okay, your organization might be using 5 tools, and if you want to switch your job, then another company can ask you about like like 10 like 10 more tools. Okay, so that thing is become obsolete if you are not if you are becoming stringent on tool basis. Just grab the basic knowledge how the background architecture works on a tool. So let's say about SIM. Okay, so there are a lot of SIM available in the market. Let's say like Curadar, Arcside, McAfee Nitro. Then Elk is also offering a new SIM which is free, by the way. You can check that out. It's awesome tool. So there are a lot of SIM tools available in the market. Now, if you tell someone I can only work on Curadar, no way, right? No way. So don't be stringent. And next thing is always find a new way to explain your things. So suppose your boss has asked you that, hey Archan, just let me know how the incident and what are the things that we have achieved in last 6 months. Okay, because this kind of trends are very interesting. You can just give him like, we have 10 incident, we have 1 P1, we have 2 P2, then 5 vulnerability kits. Like that way you can do all the borings, you can lecture, you can give. But let's think it like that way. If you can give him some road milestone kind of pattern, and if you can create some amazing picture out of it. So let's say you create something like this kind of road pattern. This is possible, everything in, you can google it and you can find some amazing ppt documents. Okay, you can create something like milestones. Okay, Suppose this is one milestone on 2 months, this is another milestone of plus 2 months, and this is another milestone of another plus 2 months. So now you can mention whatever you have achieved from where you have started. Actually, from this point you have started, whatever you have achieved in another 2 months and whatever you have achieved next 2 months. Okay, so these things becomes very much interesting whoever will be actually listening to you. Okay, so that's the reason I am telling every time, be like always try to innovate new things, always try to do some interesting stuff, and uh, remove the boringness of your work. Okay, so let's see what is next. Listening skill, this is very much important. Okay, so listening skill, you need to understand what are the other peoples are telling about your incident. So don't talk too much, first listen to other people. So that is the very important way you need to grow your soft skills. Okay, so soft skills is also a new thing of, like, having the listening power. Always remember, a good discussion always start with listening. So if you are in an incident call and your boss or your business owner is saying something that, okay, you told them to literally bring down that particular infected server, and they are telling that, hey, I cannot bring down that box is very much important to me. So understand their business risk, and try to be somewhere, like, the negotiate, the grow to the growing up negotiation power. So like that way, you need to understand their use case, what they are trying to tell you, then tell them, okay, so you are telling me that, now let's see if you want to run that particular box with this vulnerability. Today attacker is sitting on that box. Now can you tell me that, whatever, if you are not bringing down that box, maybe the attacker would go to your critical server. Okay, what you will do that time? Your business will be gone. If you are not bringing down the server right now, your business will be gone. Like the way you need to propagate things, and you need to understand other business use case, and you have to make them understand. Okay, now, next thing what I will talk about is, like, grab new skills. Okay, so I would suggest my all fellow incident handlers to at least grab a new skill, like maybe twice a month. Do some analysis. If you are, again, I told the same thing in previous slides also. If you are doing some analysis on a particular thing in this month, don't do that in the second month. Okay, so try to grab some new skills. That's the way you will also you will not be monotonous. Your work will not be monotonous. If you keep on doing same thing way and way back, your job will be monotonous. So don't do that. And next thing, always take advantage of your peers, because your peers might be having more knowledge than you. So always try to use them as your plus point, and always talk to people. Okay, so that is very much important, because if you don't want to talk people outside your SOC room, you cannot solve an incident just like that. Okay, so if you can build up your network within your organization, that would help you down the line to solve your problems. Okay, so now it's time to um, show you the little bit about the cyber kill chain and attack MITRE framework. I'm not going too much deep on those things, because you can explore them yourself. Just to give you a small hint, first, there are stages of your cyber kill chain: 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So reconnaissance to attack in objective, sorry. So recon is a stage of your attack when intruder try to scan your network, try to know about your network. Okay, so they can try to grab your email addresses, they can try to scan your network for your open ports, they will try to identify what are the vulnerabilities that is present on your network. So they will do all the planning. Okay, so that is basically a very much important when you are actually doing some monitoring on your SIM tool. Okay, so there could be several use case someone can create on your SIM tool depending on the recon stage. Okay, so those things might not be very much, like useful, because whatever from my perspective, whatever I have seen so far, that people tend to misunderstand what is the stages of recon. Okay, that is the reason, because I don't have any action to do on recon stage, because attacker might be keep on scanning your network. Okay, but you do not have any action because your firewall would be blocking all those scan attempts. But you can create some beautiful trends. Okay, you can create some beautiful trends on your recon patterns, and you can be sure of those attacker tools and techniques. Okay, so that is very much important to understand your attacker TTPs. So once you understand that, suppose one you have identified one IP address is scanning that network, and while checking that IP address you found that IP address is a IOC of an APT. Now you go and check out what are their other techniques of attack. By checking that, probably you can stop the weaponization and delivery phase. Okay, so that is the main thing of an attack. So next stage we call about, like, weaponization. So weaponization is a stage when an attacker try to couple their malicious objectives on their own tools. Okay, so you don't have uh, much to do actually in the weaponization stage, because you cannot handle what is happening outside your organization, right? So you cannot do much on weaponization, but this stage is very much important. Okay, do the star mark on delivery, because when an attacker has completed the weaponization, they would do the delivery. So first recon done, they identified what is the vulnerabilities present on your network. Then they create something with maybe a phishing email, maybe some malware customized for your own network, and they have delivered that. Okay, how do they deliver? There are a lot of ways. There could be a phishing email. Uh, there could be a drive-by download. I hope you already know by drive-by. If you not, just Google it. There could be one malware infection, uh, spyware kind of infection. Maybe when your user was, they actually do the reconnaissance in the such a way, they do the social engineering as well. Okay, so social engineering is very much important to understand the social behavior of the organization users. Okay, so they would use that, they can create a fake website also. Okay, so using that they can create some malware, and they can host that malware in that website, and they deliver that malware into your machine. Okay, so once this delivery done, so you can create some amazing use case till your delivery stage. Okay, so if you have a proper EDR solution in your place, if you obviously some organization would have a obviously they would have a EDR or an AV tool available with them. So I would encourage you to see what could be possible to how there are a lot of ways to deliver a malware. Okay, so if your AV tool is working properly, so they would definitely trigger an alert, and they would try to show you that, okay, someone is doing something fishy on your network. So it's not a big deal to identify. So once that delivery once they actually the attacker delivers that, they would do the exploitation. So weaponization done, delivery done, they would do the exploitation now. So exploitation means whatever they have identified in the first stage, on the recon stage, using that delivery they would try to exploit that stage. Okay, so exploit that particular vulnerability. So exploitation is a very important stage also, because till the exploitation stage also they haven't done actually very much bad on your network. So using the exploit, the after effects could be devastating. They can they can shut down your system, they can steal your data. But using till the steps of exploitation, somehow you can manage your attack scenario. Once they have exploited the system, it's gone. They will install their own tools, like they could install their own malware, they could create your system as a botnet, they could do anything. Okay, so once the exploitation, once you stop the exploitation, basically probably you would be in a position that to handle your incident. Okay. Okay, so once the exploitation is done, they would do the installation, and next phase come command and control. Okay, so I have seen many cases where a particular incident got caught in command and control phase only, because we don't have the proper security mechanism or proper use case to capture the alerts on those phases. Okay, so just remember, when you have probably identified something that one of your machine is trying to communicate one suspicious domain address. It could be one domain, it could be an IP address, it could be any host in the internet. So that stage we called as a C2. Okay, so when you identified a C2 is happening, that means attacker is already present in your network. Okay, so you need to backtrack and you need to identify what is the other thing that the attacker has done on your network. Okay, so once the attacker has successfully exploited and sent the C2 communication to his own system out there in the network, they would try to action on objectives. So that means they would try to hide their spaces because of maintaining the persistence. Because if you are not able to identify the C2 stage also, their work is done. So why the hell they would tell you that, hey, look, I am here? So that is the reason they would try to suppress their presence in your system. They would try to, there are a lot of process. They would try to disable your AVs, they would try to create some backdoors on your system. Like that way they would try to maintain the persistence on the mechanism. Okay, so this is also about the kill chain. Now let's see what actually we mean by the attack MITRE framework. So I have opened that attack MITRE framework here in the similar page, and if you see, there are stages like reconnaissance, resource development, initial access, execution, persistence, privilege escalation, defense evasion, and till the impact. Okay, so if you just go each and every step, so these are the steps of techniques. Okay, so these are the process, these are the main techniques what we have also seen in the kill chain phase. But attack MITRE framework is a broader way of handling an attack scenario. Okay, so you can create something like, if you, I told you about recon, right? So active scanning is one of your use case. So scanning of IP blocks, vulnerability scanning, that is matching, right, with your the recon techniques. So then let's say about the new one. So like what's it, the persistence. So persistence is command and scripting interpreter. So that means, and sorry, it's not persistence, it's execution. Okay, so execution means attacker has already got into your system and they are trying to do something fishy. So this is after delivery. So execution means they have already delivered the malware in your machine, and obviously malware would try to execute something, right? So in the form of PowerShell, maybe Apple script, Unix shell, a lot of things. So these are basically the types of use case that might occur in your environment. And similarly, scheduled tasks also. So I have seen a lot of minor Monero mining incident where actually the attacker would try to create a scheduled job. So if your antivirus kill that particular instance of mining, so there would be a scheduled task would be present in your machine. Okay, using that, the miner command will be calling, the attacker will call the miner command again and again. So that is a kind of execution, is also about the persistence. Okay, so you can check that out and you can check your organization need, and you can create some awesome use case and identify your each and every incident based on this attack MITRE framework. Nowadays, every organization is trying to map their uh, incident framework with attack MITRE, and not only about incident framework, they are trying to create a hunt based hypothesis based on attack MITRE framework, because maybe you these are like, like some 100 steps, 100 techniques are present in this phase. So it is not necessary that your organization would have all these 100 stages. Okay, so depending on what are the areas of your weakness and what are the areas of your strength, you can create some awesome use case. Okay, so bookmark that link and try to understand your attack framework, attack use case using these techniques. Okay, that would be very much useful. Okay, so here goes a sample investigation report that I have wrote on 2019. So this is the document control that I used to create, and you can see the content list. So this is important because I'll just go over the detail of the report. What are the things that I have captured in this thing? So just see, I have explicitly developed this in index pattern on some phases. Okay, so I have mentioned what is this document all about. Then the procedure of the overview. So that means I would try to explain how the incident happened actually in the in the back end. Okay, so then how I have been notified about the incident. Then confirm. So confirm means there are several stages of confirmation. So in an so these also stages are coming in the incident phases also. So that would be coming in coming up episodes. But to confirm an incident, you need to do some initial assessment, then you need to do a priority allocation, and you need to identify the incident logs. Okay, so this is the thing that I was referring in the first place. So that means you need to understand what are the different types of logs that is associated with your incident. So source of notification, requester and date, tool ticket reference and response team reference, brief description of the incident, and initial determination priority justification, because you need to settle a justification of your priority of the incident, right? And the date of breach. Okay, so this is very much important to capture in any of the investigation report when a breach has taken place. So now you can ask me, what is the date of a breach? Is it a recon date? Is it a exploitation date? So always remember, this term is very much important when depending on your data classification. Okay, so if some data on your organization is critical and you understand that going beyond some limitation is a breach, so when an attacker has got access to that particular information, that day is called a breach. So mention that in your investigation report. Next thing is contain and investigate. So this portion of the report is very important, where actually you are capturing the detailed description of the report, the root cause, how you have analyzed the report, and what are the action that you have taken. Okay, so this is the overall index how I write my report. And if you go through the stages, let's see that I have created this thing very much, in broader aspect. So I have mentioned each and everything on the report. Okay, so you can check that out. What are the team definition about in the, I have captured that. What are the key roles which are actually present in in this investigation, and what are the audience which are present for which I am creating this document. Okay, so I have created the process overview. So process overview means how actually this incident totally happened. So there is a team who called as DMS team, which is identified and Java application error. So from there the investigation starts. Then initial troubleshooting steps identified some unknown suspicious job was running on the backend server. Okay, so they confirm the SOC team, and SOC team has started the forensic investigation on the backend server. So they have taken the backend server offline because that's the containment step of the incident. and after that SOC establish the root cause when they have analyzed the box. Okay, so now let's see how actually I have analyzed the particular incident. So I have captured the date when I have been notified about that incident. What are the ticketing tools? Okay, we are using the resilient ticketing tools so well enough. So, and I have done the forensic investigation of this box. Okay, so I have mentioned that as well. Now let's go and check the incident report. Okay, so this is the overall summary. So I have mentioned the summary, what has happened in that incident is a very short format. Okay, because in the next step I am going to explore a lot of things. So this is a root cause and detail analysis. So let's see what I have. So this thing, like these bullet points is all about the high level risk. Okay, so that means if you want to present this document to one of your C-level executive, you can just take out these like 5 to 6 bullet points and you can go away with it. Okay, so now if you want to understand deeply whatever has happened in that particular incident, you need to go deep dive to that particular forensic report, and you need to see how and where it's actually happened. So you see, I have captured everything from where I have identified the logs, from where I have what are the things that I have captured. I talked to you about one script also, right? So that is a cron job. Okay, so that's a way of doing mechanism like persistence. So I have identified that. So that was a paste bin. Okay, so there was some, like some domain information also available. So I have identified some snapshot also about the system, so you can identify that. Okay, so you can check that out in later time and you can let me know that what are the things that is also present in that particular investigation report. And so this is the overall way that I write my investigation report. So I am not going very deep on that investigation report, otherwise it will be like it will be very much detailed report. So the index that I showed you is very much important. Okay, so this index is your everything. So if you just mention and if you try to be firm with that index, that is going to capture everything. So take snapshots, create some awesome graphs, mention whatever happening in your incident, and try to be innovative with your incident. Okay, so that's the thing when you would try to explore a lot of new techniques, new tools which is available in the market, and that's how you do all your investigation. Okay, finally we have arrived at the end of the session. So this was day one and we have explored a lot of things. And finally I would say that whenever you are trying to study about something, set up your goal and do the small steps. Okay, simplify your studies in such a way that make your study logical and it would look simple. Don't do too much exaggerate things. Okay, and if you ask me that how do I approach studying on such a vast field, okay, so you can start from one single piece. So suppose today you are learning about one coding knowledge, try to explore that as much as possible. Okay, so once you grab that skills, try to hop over to the next one. Okay, so you do not need to know everything on a week or on a month or on a year even. Okay, so as long as you have started your journey small, you would be able to understand the things. But always remember whatever I have told you about the basic skills. You need to understand what are the different type of logs. You need to understand how actually you can be innovative while you're doing the incident response. Okay, so in the coming up episodes we will talk about the different stages of incidents, how actually the incidents occur, how you basically segregate the stages of incident. Next we will also see the different types of incident that can happen to your SOC. Okay, so I hope you have enjoyed the session. If you have any queries about this day one, feel free to post that in the comment section. I'd be happy to help you. Thanks for watching.